Focus groups can serve many purposes. One is to discover the public's attitudes or opinions or perceptions on a particular topic or issue. Another purpose is to discover how groups make a consensus or handle disagreements, and that can be discovered through the use of a focus group. Another purpose is to discover the language used by a particular group of people that could possibly aid you in the development of a survey in the future. So that way when you develop your survey, you have an idea of the language they like to use. And so those are just a few of the purposes of focus groups. Focus groups, as well as any other methodology, have some limitations and some advantages. Speaking of surveys, focus groups allow you to get in-depth information from a group of people. They allow you to gain insight into matters that maybe you didn't think about that they bring up in a focus group. And through the moderator, you can delve into those issues and ask for clarification or more detail that you can't do with the more structured questioning guide, such as a survey. Compared to interviews, focus groups are much more cost and time efficient because you can get 8 to 10 people together in a room and after 2 hours have a wealth of knowledge that otherwise would take you several days to go and individually interview those people for the same amount of time. The limitations of a focus group is that there are very small numbers. If you want to get an idea of how a big population, a large population feels about something, then focus groups are not the most appropriate way to do that because you cannot generalize that information. What I mean is you cannot do one focus group and say everyone that fits that demographic feels this way. That's just not the purpose of a focus group. Another limitation of focus groups is that although they are cost efficient, they are expensive. When you take into account the location of a focus group, the incentives you need to give to people for attending, maybe you need to pay the moderator or pay other people to transcribe the focus groups. So those are two limitations of a focus group. Focus groups can be used at many different points in time during a communication campaign, for example. You can definitely use it before the campaign to determine what types of messages would be most effective, what types of media consumers prefer. Those types of factors you can definitely line out before you even start putting together the campaign. Now you can use focus groups again during the campaign process to find out, well, are people seeing it? What do they think of it? Is there anything you need to tweak or change? And then again, focus groups can be used at the end to evaluate it. How effective was your communication campaign? How effective was the program? And so at many different points in time, you can use focus groups to evaluate or monitor progress of your communications campaign. The people you want for a focus group really depends on what you want, what you hope to accomplish from the focus group. So we've done focus groups with the general public. We've done focus groups with people who fit certain criteria. And that criteria may be that they have been exposed to a program or a message, and we want to find out, well, what do they think of that? So you have to really consider your audience and your target population. So whether that be students, professionals out in the real world working, academic professionals, whatever it is, you have to determine that and then go out and recruit those people. The focus group process is very complex in that just like you can use a focus group to plan, monitor, and evaluate, you have to handle all those steps when conducting focus groups. So in planning a focus group, you need to determine who is your target population and how are you going to sample people into that. So your recruiting methods, you need to either hire maybe a marketing research firm to do random digit dialing and recruit people randomly from your target area. You can also, if you need to, post flyers in community areas. There's lots of different ways to recruit people. In the recruiting process, you need to make sure that people understand that what you're doing is important. So whether that be through sending them postcards before you call them, before you cold call them, following up with them 2 weeks before the focus group, calling them the day before the focus group, everything you can do to make sure people show up. Because once they agree to attend your focus group, that doesn't mean they're actually going to come. So you also need to make sure that you hold the focus groups in an area that's convenient to get to, and maybe provide childcare or refreshments. Definitely an incentive will help. That incentive can be cash. It could be free food for students. Usually pizza will do it. And then once you get them there, then the moderator and other people there need to take over. And I would recommend having a moderator for sure, an assistant moderator to take notes, someone to handle the logistics, making sure people sign in, sign the release form, get refreshments and get comfortable. And then someone else to handle the audio equipment and the recording equipment. So focus groups are not just about sitting around a table. There's many different functions you can incorporate into a focus group, which is what really makes them unique. And you can incorporate taste testing and let people actually taste the food and give you feedback right then and there. What did they think of it? Did they like it or not like it? And you can do that in a store, in a grocery store or something, but there's always distractions. And they're not thinking about that right there. They're thinking about their kids, their grocery list, whatever else. So in a focus group, you have their undivided attention. The focus group dynamics are really what's crucial to a good focus group. That's another key component of a successful focus group. And again, I would characterize those in a successful way as when they forget I'm there. And they start having conversations with each other and asking each other, well, what do you mean there? And they start basically doing the moderator's job of trying to gain more from each other. So once the focus group is done, it depends on your research purpose. If you were just trying to get a good general overview and you just need to give a top-line report to somebody, then you can just pull out the key points, things that you learned, maybe things that need to change or stay the same, and hand it over. Now, if you're doing the research for something bigger than that, then I recommend transcribing everything, transcribing the audio tapes and using maybe video if you use video to kind of fill in on some nonverbal cues. You can learn a lot from people shaking their heads that you can't capture on the audio. So once you have it all transcribed, you can use qualitative data analysis procedures to look through it and discover what are the common themes. What are the things that seem to be repeated a lot? In past focus groups I did on genetically modified foods, that's what we did. We did a very in-depth analysis of what were the themes, what quotes associated to those themes, and just gave a good overview of what people really thought and felt about labeling genetically modified foods. A successful focus group is when you have, first of all, enough people show up. And that's always stressful because you can't determine that. I mean, you can't go to people's houses and make them come to your focus group. You have to do everything in your power to make sure they understand how important it is and how important they are to the research you're trying to do. A successful focus group is one in which the discussion provides insights that you did not expect, that it answers all the research objectives you had, and that when you walk away from there, you have a better idea of what you were trying to accomplish. So whether that is evaluating your communication message, maybe you walk away from knowing that certain things are working and others definitely aren't.